Lisa likes the window seat at night. The lights below that tell her she's nearly home. Then there's the lights she can't see. The runway lights we power to bring her plane safely into land. And because at Energia we also power all of Ireland's streetlights, Lisa's taxi home is that bit safer too. And no prizes for guessing who powers her house. Welcome home, Lisa. Energia, the power behind your power.
And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio! Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Do you feel as if you don't belong? Do you know you were meant for something more? Well, you were. Knowledge of who you are and where you really are from is within your reach. Join Janet Carol Lesson and Dr. Sasha Lesson as they search for the answers as they open up the Stargate to the cosmos.
Very good day. Words I want to say. Here we go.
You're live.
Okay, aloha everybody, and welcome to Stargate to the Cosmos on Revolution Radio, and I'm your host, Janet Carol Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alec Lesson, and our producer is Thomas Becker. And today we have a very special guest, once again, Dan Cooper. we're doing a series of shows with Dan Cooper, who was in the 20 Back program, and he's an inventor. He's a physicist and engineer. And when he was in the program, the 20 Back program, with the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, he was exposed to a lot of these technologies. And today we're going to focus on portals, wormholes, stargates, time travel, teleportation, and other technology. And before we bring on Dan again, Sasha, what would you like to say?
Oh, just listen up, everybody. Dan's the man. He got the solution for us to get out of the mess we're in, and he's got them all. Dig it.
Yes. All right. So, Dan, it's been a while since we talked. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, do you want to, these shows are kind of a series, but we don't know if there's new people. Do you want to give them a Reader's Digest version of who you are and what you're working on?
Yes, lately I'm an inventor. I invent generators, magnetic energy power generators that use magnetic energy to produce electricity, also motors and engines as well, because there's no reason to use fuel or to recharge batteries, because we've had these magnetic energy power generators, motors, and engines out for some time. That's just some of the technologies that have been suppressed from humanity. These are them, and we're trying to get them released. Myself and other people want to have them released, and we're working on that. I got into inventing them because that was one of the major hurdles that I had with trying to get these technologies out, was getting past the secret space program's suppression. One of their techniques is, well, you can't, that's impossible. You can't invent that. Well, I did, so I know it's not impossible. Anyway, and then I did a 20 and back as well, so I have a unique background in that regard. I also started remembering some of that. As I invented more, the more inventions I did, the more memories I started getting of my 20 and back years with the secret space program. Okay?
Okay. That's a good start. So what are some of if this technology were to come out, how would that change the world?
Well, let's see now. It raises everybody's standard of living, because the technology allows for a lot better everything, mostly in the medical sciences. So even the lowest level, what I would consider lowest level transitional technology, a lot of people describe this level of technology being the Star Trek level, but I don't see it that way, because they covered a lot of different planets. So it's hard to say what's the Star Trek level. Star Trek, when people say the Star Trek level, they mean, are you a spacefaring species? Does your species get around? Right. Does your species get around the galaxy in spaceships? Well, the fact of the matter is, our species doesn't. There's only a handful of people that are doing that, and and they're not supposed to be doing that. They weren't supposed to go off and do their own secret thing. So we're really not a real true spacefaring civilization, but we do have elements of our civilization that are. And that's that Star Trek society they're talking about, but where you don't need anything anymore. You don't have to go to work anymore. It's not necessary to go to work to make things, because we have machines that produce energy from nothing, and that's what I'm working on. And replicators are real. You can replicate anything from anything else. Those are real. So transporters, ships, 9.8 ships, all real. 9.8 warp engine ships, all that stuff's a real technology. It's just being withheld from us. So how's that going to change our lives? It's going to change our lives tremendously, in the sense that you don't have to work anymore. You're not struggling anymore. You're not in the economic slavery system anymore. You're not struggling to make ends meet. Everything's taken care of already. You have no needs. They're all taken care of you. There might be differences, I guess, but most people will have everything they need.
Right. Sasha, you going to say something?
Yeah, I want to know, in terms of replication, can you replicate medicine, food, and living beings or people?
You can. you can transport people. You can replicate matter. Replicator is a matter. It replicates matter, most material things. It doesn't replicate human life. So what you're talking about is a different. You're talking about a different technology. Replicators only replicate matter. They don't replicate they don't replicate human life or the soul. They don't replicate the soul. They only replicate matter. And it isn't really what you think. It's not copying. It's not making a copy of it. What it's doing is it's reducing the matter, like a cup of sand. It's reducing that matter to its energy form. Well, not a very special energy form called the seventh form. And then we reformat that energy form into whatever kind of matter we want it to be. We reformat that sand into gold, reformat it back into a dinner, a steak dinner, or whatever kind of dinner you want, So that's what replicators are doing. They're merely changing matter to energy, energy back to matter. It's a machine.
Okay, so
it's a machine.
Can you do equipment that way? Could you recreate equipment or dishes or stuff?
Yes, industrial replicators, all real. Yes, all real. Manufacturing is way beyond your imagination when you put replicators into the mix. Manufacture whatever you want. Yes, we have industrial manufacturers. Lots of people from different parts of the galaxy would come here to buy our ships because apparently we make good ships. The Mars colonies were a big colony for selling ship parts.
Oh, so you're talking about spaceships?
We're able to spaceships for other. We build. They give us their specs, and we build them. We build their parts for them and their ships for them, and stuff like that. We build good ships. So we've done a little bit.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you do like Tompkins was saying, where you get a prefab structure and you just replicate it?
Yes, you can replicate anything. The larger the replicator, the bigger you can. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think what Tompkins was doing with retrofitting things that already existed, like where do all those ships go? They retrofit them for space, like the submarines and stuff, because they're already airtight, and they use them in space. That's what he was saying at his presentation that we saw a couple years ago at the MUFON conference. Is that something that you're aware of? Is that going on?
You mean, how do they build ships? They build them out in space, like they have.
Right,
but what?
But Tompkins was saying that they use a lot of the craft that they no longer use in war here. So they might have old submarines or old whatever. He said they just take them and they make them spacefaring. They just put them out there, launch them there, and if they go underwater here, they're fine going into the atmosphere there. They're already watertight, airtight.
In the beginning of the program, they were doing stuff like that. But that later on, as they didn't do that. All the manufacturing facilities are very specialized, and they manufacture a very specialized piece of equipment. It's not like that, but they don't do it that way anymore. That's for sure. They have very
that's what he was saying at the beginning.
In the beginning, they did it that way. In the beginning, they did it that way. They took whatever submarine structures or any other type of tube structures they could find and make as many of them as they possibly could, fast as they could. Right. They were so happy to be out in space, but they didn't take us with them.
When you invent something, is that partly a remembering what you observed, or is it or a combination of pure invention, or what?
No, it's pure invention. I don't. My service within this, my 20 and back years in the secret space program, I wasn't an engineer, so I wasn't involved in any of that stuff. And as far as I started inventing, and then my memories came back, not the other way around. I started getting memories back after I was inventing. So I'm not seeing things, because these things that I'm inventing are lesser machines. They're the transition technologies, which is they're considered lesser technology than the technology they have and the technology we have. It's an in-between kind of period of technology, and that's nothing anyone's ever seen because it's never been developed. No one's been interested in the transitional technologies because the secret space program people, their technology is so advanced. Why would they want to go backwards in technology? They wouldn't. They wouldn't want to do it. And but they don't want to give us their level of technology. It's way too advanced. It's really out there. It's everything, So they want us to do something in between, but they don't have those machines. Those machines have to be invented and built. The transitional technologies. That's what I work on.
Got it. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
What I'm hypothesizing is that your exposure to this technologies and in your awareness, you became aware in your subconscious mind of the transitional technologies because you've been exposed to the whole concept. We kind of have to wrap our minds around an idea or concept. So things like Star Trek and then you go, well, we can't go back and do this super advanced level because that's beyond, right now where we need to go, because we have to kind of go in steps just like the rest of the world. So anyway, that's what I'm getting. Is on some level, you're aware of all this stuff, and you came back, and it's like the horse before the cart or the chicken before the egg. We're not sure what level, but you started inventing things because somewhere you're getting exposed to it, whether that's in between time and space. You're getting exposed to this stuff that is possible. You're getting the ideas from somewhere. You're making it up, but it's where is up? Where are you making it up from? So somewhere it exists somewhere, and that's what you're pulling into the conscious world, and you're manufacturing these things. That's kind of my hypothesis. I don't know if that resonates with you or not, but
in anthropology, we call it stimulus generalization. There's a need for an in-between, a transitional, a person who's immersed himself in what's really out there at its best, and where we are now, like you, Daniel, are in a position to see what's needed. And it's just, but the ideas of the need for a transitional technology is the stimulus generalization. And our ancestors and you are smart enough that when you get an idea to work it where it goes logically.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm working with technologies that should be allowed. I'm hoping they're going to be allowed. The magnetic energy powered cars and air and jets and stuff like that, where we don't have to burn up any more fossil fuels. We don't have to be paying to fill our gas tanks with fossil fuels. Stuff like that. So it should be different. A lot of people are skeptical about everybody being free all of a sudden, economically free. They don't have to work. They don't know what to think about that. A lot of countries you're required to go to work, just like you're required to join the military. Some countries you have to put in 2 years minimum or 4 years minimum military service. Everybody in that country has to do that. So it might be like that, where they're just going to require everybody to go to work. We'll see. But the jobs
we have to.
They won't be menial.
Go ahead, finish your sentence. Yeah, say that again. They won't be menial jobs.
Right. There'll be research, development, art, stuff like that. Music.
Right. Well, we've been looking at the concepts of where we can go. I'm watching this whole series of time travelers and hypothesizing or imagining where it's going. I don't know if it's real. People are actually reporting going back and forth in time. But there are people that have gone into other times, and things are different. Like they don't have money anymore, no more printed money. When they talk about societies where the basic minimum needs are met for everybody, so that's food, shelter, clean water. So everything becomes healthy because that's not in the pool for competition. It's like we're creating the optimal, most healthiest society because that's the optimal for everybody, to have everybody healthy. So medical is included. And there's other political systems. I've been looking at some of the time travelers, and they're saying, we no longer have presidents. And there's one timeline where they go into AI. What do you think about AI as a governing force? It's like they're no longer presidents and politicians, but some AI, which is the sum total of all of humanity's wisdom, and it's able to calculate and compute what would be the highest good for everybody, and that's where decisions are made. on the highest good for everybody level instead of, the few with the sacrifice of the many, right? Are you aware of those type of concepts?
All the civilizations use AI to a degree. I don't know. You're talking about where they just run the government and the people just they go about their normal lives. Yeah, there are civilizations where the AI runs the government because it's considered it's just considered a function you can program a computer to do. It's not considered something to use or abuse. So on many planets, they just let the computer run the government because it's just they don't need a person in between to make it corrupt or anything like that. So that's not really true AI running government,
What is that then? That's how people are assimilating because they don't know how to explain it.
Most of those advanced civilizations, they consider government to be, provide services, products, to provide services and products to humanity, to all the people in its jurisdiction, to protect them. Have certain basic requirements. They consider it just to be service requirements, things that the government does are service related to the public in general, a public service. They don't consider it to require any extra intelligence to go out and to empty the ashtray. Just a public service. See, but they don't. Those people don't consider them to be overtaken by artificial intelligence. The people who program the computers or program the system are their council, their ruling class.
Right. So tell me a little bit more, and then Sasha, you're next. But so you've been out in space. What are their societal structures that you've been subjected to, or been able to observe or be a part of? How do they run their planets? What are some of the ones you've seen?
Well, I don't remember everything. I'm not like other secret space program person. I have some memories, but what I do remember are usually memories of a battle or a military engagement. So we're not there being nice to other people. Whoever we're there, what we're doing, we're fighting people, and we're not really meeting them we're meeting them in a very adverse grounds. We're trying to kill them. So I don't really have the kind of experiences, the touchy-feely kind of experiences where you get to go and talk to the aliens and all that. So I don't have those experiences. Those aren't the experiences that come back to me in my memories. The battles are what battle scenes come back to me, stuff like that. I don't have any touchy-feely memories. I was a warrior, so I don't really have those kind of. And I didn't get out to meet many people, so I wasn't like. I wasn't at a space station where I met a bunch of people.
All right, so what about this? You told me about a planet where you went, and it was like the Olympics, but this was the warriors fighting each other.
Naturally, in the galaxy, they would have an Olympics. Only of course this Olympics is just for sword fighting competition. All
right. Tell us about that story.
No, that's a real long one. That would take a long time to explain that one.
Okay, we'll save it for a future.
Because there's just so many different aspects to that particular story. That's a long one. Another time for that one. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so you asked me, do I meet people? You don't really. I don't meet them. You would meet people. No. Do I know of people of other races? Of other people and other races. But I wasn't involved in commerce. I wasn't doing business. I wasn't getting out there. We were with groups that were out doing combat. So it wasn't our thing.
So who did you fight?
Yeah.
Who did we fight? Reptilians, insectoids, canine species mainly.
Were any of them way bigger than you?
Many of them are bigger, yeah, especially the reptilians.
Did that make any difference?
No, not when you're doing. First of all, if you're doing combat with a projectile weapon like a handgun or a laser rifle shoots out beams of light. everybody's on the same footing there. You know, a laser is going to cut through cut through no matter who you are. And when it comes to sword fighting in an actual duel, the size doesn't really matter. You have to be skilled with the weapons, otherwise, you're not gonna. Doesn't matter how big you are. So the size didn't really matter. Either in no matter what kind of combat we did, the size wasn't what was not. That wasn't what won the match, so to speak. Usually, no one
was. Were they at a range? Could you see their heads, or were you down at their feet? Was there?
Well, when we're in the open field, when we're in combat open field, everybody's wearing a spacesuit because the planets that you're on aren't adapted. They're not adapted. They're not for you. So you're not going to do well on any planet without a spacesuit. So you always drop where everybody's running around in spacesuits. Everybody is running around in spacesuits, so, and those suits are their own. That it looks like a uniform. It has colors. It has colors on it, and patterns, and so you can tell different species by their different spacesuits. Everybody's running around in spacesuits.
So, do you fight as an individual, or do you move like a team, like a squad?
I was with a team. We moved just like special forces teams. I was a small group of special. We would do different kinds of operations, mostly. I fought a lot of hand-to-hand combat duels, but our units would do insurgency actions. They'd go in and neutralize a cannon, neutralize a base or whatever, neutralize the enemy, just like warfare we normally have, except the weapons are much different. Much different. Ships are different. The weapons are different. People are all doing the same things.
What kind of rank was inside of the squad? How did you coordinate your motions? Who made the decisions about how to move and things like that?
Oh, we were all wired up between each other. All of our suits are wired up between each other. It's like the Internet of Things. Your suit's talking to everybody else's suit on your team, and then of course, then there's a firewall, and then that goes back to the ship, and you're walking around on a robot that's a computer as well, and it's communicating with all the other robots and all the other computers, and it's making recommendations, and it's getting orders, and you're seeing all these up on displays. So the real trick in learning how to work the suits is to learning how to work all the instruments. What do all the instruments mean? Learning how to work with all that technology is the hard part. It takes years to learn how to work with a robotic suit and fight in it.
So how did you get intelligence on what you were going to fight? Who made the decision?
You always get intel on everything. There's always intelligence on any combat situation you're going to go into. And from the moment you get briefed, you don't stop briefing. You continue to brief you all the way through the actual combat experience. You're being constantly briefed. As things change in the combat in the field, as things change in one part of the field, what's going on in the other part of the field, and you're getting like an intelligence briefing. You're getting it's a computer really. It's a computer person up on your screen. It's giving you recommendations and telling you, what could happen and what might happen, and you gotta love that one.
So how do they get that intelligence? How does the person get that? Wait. Let me ask this, and then over to you, Sash. How was are you aware how your bosses or whatever was in charge got the information on how they were, who they were to fight? I mean, how did they decide who were fighting next?
Oh, you mean who decided?
Do you have any idea?
I wasn't a decision maker. I wasn't an officer or anything like that. I didn't decide who to fight or why to fight. And you don't get too inquisitive. You just you sort of find out. You listen carefully, and you sort of find out what's going on. That we're working with these aliens, and you don't really find out too much because they just don't want you to know too much. And so you're not being you only get briefed as far as what you need to know for that mission, and then after that, you're not supposed to discuss it. So. You don't really get to know too much about what's going on around you with even the relationship with the species that we were with. We saw Draco commanders would come in and give us orders, We were told to follow the Draco commander's orders. We had no idea what the treaties were between the Draco and the United States, or the Nazis or the United States. We just know that these are people that we worked with. You understand the difference? You're a low-level person. You don't know anything. You just know there's something going on. You don't really know exactly what it is.
Well, where did you go in between when you weren't fighting? Where did you go?
Oh, well, we're almost on ship. I'm on ship all the time. I'm on a cruiser. It's a big cruiser. I'm on ship all the time. All the time on ship. Hardly ever was I ever off ship. Only time I was ever off ship was when I was doing an engagement, a combat engagement. There's no port of call or downtime.
So when Tasha, you had a question.
I'm sorry, what?
Because I went after you. Tasha, you had a question, then I have one after you. But go ahead, Tasha. Okay, well, I interrupted you before.
Okay, if I can shift a little with what's still bugging in my mind is, I've interviewed Ralph Ring and another number of other people who, like Ring was with Carr, who got his inventions confiscated and locked up, even though he had demonstrated and stuff. And it's like how is the patenting process going, and how does that work, and do you have a chance, and what's all this patenting stuff about, and can it really protect you and the public with the gifts you have?
Yeah, the patenting gets you to the next part of the process where you want to try to convince a manufacturer to manufacture it, but they're not interested unless you hold a patent on it. They don't want to. The patent gives them a lot of guaranteed market. So that's why the manufacturer is looking for patent. That's why you want a patent and encourage the manufacturers to want to manufacture it, as opposed to something that is not new. So you want to make it more attractive to the manufacturers. That's what the patent's for. Got it?
I got it. But how is it that some people are censored, and like Carr got his invention taken away, the big one, but he had already patented a toy of the same thing, and so they didn't take that one away. But you see what I'm saying is, how do you protect yourself from getting your thing locked up as national security stuff?
Yeah, you always have to be concerned about that. I don't really make prototypes. I just do the patents don't require prototypes, so I'm not in here making a bunch of things. So I'm not. I haven't really come up onto their radar. They're not really worried because I'm not making any of them yet. Making them, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a large manufacturer who will commit to making a lot of them, and that's because I don't care to make one or two. It doesn't matter to me whether they work or not. I'm trying to make them to free humanity. So unless there's going to be millions of them, manufactured, I'm really not interested. So I'm patenting them for the manufacturer, and then if I can get them manufactured, then that'll be better. But nobody's coming after me because I'm not making any.
So in that kind of a world, the manufacturers, if it's wealthy enough, would lobby to let the product go on the market. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, I don't know how the manufacturer does it. I suppose there's different ways. There would be different ways to go about doing it, but I imagine lobbying would be one way for a manufacturer to get a product on the market. Yeah. Yes.
And the military seems afraid of these products because they will change the structure of authority on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely want to. I want to see them come out. That's why I've been working in the area, trying to get them to get manufactured. But I'm just starting out. It probably takes a long time to pull off something like this. So I'm new at doing this whole thing about inventing. So we'll see. We'll see how long it takes.
See how long. Yeah, hopefully in our lifetime this will happen.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to, I'm just kind of stuck back in, like when you're on ship, what is that like? Where do you sleep?
Oh, yeah, well, ship's boring. Ship is boring, of course, because you just get up in the morning and you go and you work out. and then you go, and then you eat, and then you work out some more, and then you eat lunch, and you work out some more. It's very boring. Combat actually relieves the monotony of working out all the time. So you're training. You're training. I mean, for me, I'm training in martial arts, specifically how to fight with a sword. That's all I did all the time.
Do you get to know any of your buddies?
I'm sorry,
you make
what?
friends? Do you get to know any? Do you make friends? Do you get to know anybody?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you get to your team members. You get to know them. The people you're working out with and training with, you get to know them. Yeah, just like you would somebody on a team, a football team or a basketball team. Yep, they're your team members. You get to know them.
No. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Sash, your turn.
Well, just on the Enterprise, they had concerts and entertainment and a holodeck. Did you have stuff like that?
Oh yeah, everything in 3D though, not really 2D. Everybody watches everything kind of like in a 3D TV format. And then there's also what were those places you could go where it's like I forgot what it was called on Deep Space Nine, where you go into those rooms. What were those rooms where you could go into everything? The holo suites, right?
Holodeck.
Yeah. So they have holodecks. Originally, during my period, they weren't very good, but they always had some form of holodeck. And the technology, they just kept getting better at it. And so yeah, you get some holodeck time, but most of the time you're just training. You're not really you don't really want to do anything. You want to get off ship and go fight, because you're sick of training. There's nothing to do.
Does your body age when you're in that program, or does it always stay?
Yes, it ages the way it regularly does. You're aging 20 years like you regularly would age 20 years.
So at 40 you're not as spry as you were at 20. Right.
Yeah, you're pretty much your career as a combat soldier, a special forces soldier is pretty much over at that time. Yeah. That's why you don't hear people doing a 20 and more than a 20 and back as a combat soldier. You hear people doing a 40 in the back and a 60 in the back, but they were in other services. They weren't doing combat. Just
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do they take you back in age so you're rejuvenated? They refresh you back?
No, that's not what they're doing.
Young again?
What they're doing with a 20 and back is they're taking you to another planet or another series of planets, usually a realm, a whole bunch of planets. And in that area, in that realm, time is one way. It's one time zone, and you go back and they plop you back 20 years in that time zone. But over here, you went back in time on this time zone. You went back 20 years, but you're not here doing it. You're doing that 20 years somewhere else. You went back in time somewhere else, some other planet, so that you're not disturbing the timeline up there, because you're not going back in time or forward in time, not disturbing the timeline. And you're not disturbing the time here because you're not doing either of those two things here either. So you're going back in time, but not on this timeline, somewhere else. Then when you want to return, you go forward in time, or you don't even have to at that time. You're already caught up. You caught up to the time they want to drop you back off, which would be 17 and a half to 18 years old. They drop you back off.
Right.
They pick you up at 18.
And what's
deploy you for 20 years, bring you back to where you were 18 again, and drop you off. The moment they pick you up is the moment they drop you off. Right?
Wow. So let's talk about the different. There's a picture on the website, and that's you. It's on aquarianradio.com.
I'm the kid.
And is that you? You're the kid. And who are the two men with you?
Well, they didn't speak English. They spoke German, so I didn't know who they were because I couldn't understand what they were saying. But my father told me to go with them, and they were going to teach me how to walk through that fountain. And I'm going, okay. So these two Germans are gonna teach me how to walk through that fountain. This is on an Air Force base. That fountain is on an Air Force base. That fountain is it's like a kids park. It wasn't even a kids park. It was just an Air Force base, and there was that fountain. It would shoot water up for about a minute, then it would turn off for about a minute, then it would shoot water up for about a minute. So when it started firing up water, I was instructed to walk through it. And they don't tell you
think
why.
about that?
Huh?
What did you think? I'm going to walk through that water.
I didn't think it was a very interesting thing to do. I didn't get it. I said why, and they said just do it. You got to understand, you're in one timeline. You're not supposed to remember anything when you're on the daytime schedule. In the nighttime schedule, when you go under the underground base, you're being trained. You remember things, but then they erase your memory on the daytime schedule. You don't remember anything. And I'm out on the base. I don't know. I'm learning to walk through a portal. They just walked through this fountain. It just was really strange. Two guys I never met wanted me to walk through a fountain of water while it's shooting water up.
And what happened when you walked through?
Well, you don't see anything, and the water's all around you, and you're trying to hold yourself up, keep yourself from being knocked down. And I suppose it's a lot of the same experiences that you experience when you step into a portal. It must be the same kind of experiences. It could very well have been a portal. It might have been a portal there, and they were all of a sudden turning on the portal every so often. Who knows? But they were trying to basically get you to walk into the unknown. You're walking into the unknown. I must have walked into one of their portals and came out the other end, and it didn't, and it must have freaked me out. So they had to give me some portal training, teach them to walk through the portal.
Oh.
Yeah, because when you see this huge giant ball of energy, and you're instructed to walk through it, there aren't too many people who will do that. You do realize that, right? You do realize that's like walking off of a 50-story building and someone telling you, go ahead, don't worry, everything will be fine. Don't you worry. It'll all be fine. Yeah, right.
It'll be fine.
Sure. And it gets scarier every time you do it because, when you walk through those portals, something else on the other side is always different. It's completely different planet every time you step through the portal. Well, those portals are local portals. Those weren't the planet ones. Those are for local portals for portaling us around our own planet.
So when you went through that, can they set it for different destinations? One portal has many destinations?
No. Portals have to be set up for one destination, and it takes a long time to do that. It's not some instantaneous thing. Now there are things called wormholes, and there are wormholes that they change positions. And you can actually calculate where they're going to be. And we do that. We actually use wormholes that change positions, and you got to calculate where they're going to be, and then you got to be there before it gets there so that you can be at the entrance of the wormhole when it appears. So there are those, but this isn't that. What you're seeing is a portal being set up, usually between someone's bedroom and the base.
So where did that portal take you?
Well, that was for training. That didn't take me anywhere, but that would have taken me to the base. I would have walked through it and gone down underground 30, 40, 50, 60 floors down underground to a military base for training that evening.
Oh, okay. So that kind of just took you down into the base itself.
It'll suck you down into the base, right? So.
And that was in Japan?
That was in Japan on an Air Force Base. US Air Force Base, Japan.
Okay, Sash, your turn.
I'm just kind of what I'm interested in about the time travel part is Penny Bradley and others have said there's something called the time police, and there's some people that are going back in time and doing something, and other people that go back and undo it, and then people that go back to undo the undoing. And have you heard any of this business? It's really confusing.
I've heard them called time agents and time police and time administrators and the time lords, and it's all that's true. There is a group, it's an agency, and it's run by these 60 the 60 alien species that run the Super Federation. They run that group. They run the time agency, and it's their responsibility to make sure that nobody goes back and changes time, or if they did go back, that they fix it, restore it. So if there was a time incursion, somebody's got to go back.
So
and
what
fix
happens when they? Yeah. So say somebody goes back and something. Does it make another split, another timeline? What happens when somebody does it?
Let's see now.
Not supposed to.
No, it's like a spur because it's not going to be long lived. You're thinking
So
of it.
explain that. What do you mean by that?
You're thinking of it as going out and coming back to the original line, or spurring off and being cut off.
So it doesn't create a hard new timeline. It's just a spur.
Yes,
Okay.
It happened, but only for a moment, and only in that space of time, and then it didn't happen. It got returned. So there might be a spike or something there, but it's not something that would really disturb any other timelines.
Could you change the result of a horse race that you're betting on?
Yes, you can. But that's an incursion, and that's considered a time incursion. It's not a traumatic time incursion. Like, not everything's going to be so traumatic, like the butterfly effect. It's not really true. Not every time change is a huge incursion. Will have a traumatic effect on the timeline. Not every time change does. So it's only the ones that cause traumatic changes that we have to go back and fix those. So time has to be corrected, or the administrators, they come back and they make you do it, or they do it themselves, or you got to go back and fix it. Because nobody wants you going around messing around time. Because if you get to go around messing around time, then everybody wants to do it, and then there's just no end to how many times it gets changed. It'll never stabilize. Then that causes problems. Anyway, shouldn't be mucking around time.
So it's small enough if you were just to enhance the finances of whatever you were trying to enhance, to just bet on one race and make a winning, and that wouldn't change time. It would just be very minor, a spur, and you could have fun with it, right?
Yeah, a tiny bit, nothing much, nothing to be worried about having to go back and fix.
Yeah, there's a time travel program where they land back in time, and of course they don't have the money system of the our current timeline. So the guy goes out and he has some money and he gambles because they can't really enter normal society. So he starts to finance the organization by getting large sums at the horse races and stuff like that. And so that was kind of an interesting way of explaining how somebody could travel in time and be able to exist. Yeah. So what do you think about something like that?
You can go back and use the information you have on this timeline to enhance your, increase your chances of winning in gambling. Yeah, you can do that. You can pull that off, but it's not legal. They won't let you do it. The Time Lords won't let you get away with that. They'll stop
Another
you.
thing I heard,
they'll stop you, take all your money away from you, and then make you go back and fix it.
Somebody I interviewed, I can't remember who it was exactly, he said, the problem is when you get to some other place you don't have any clothes on, you have to steal some clothes or get some clothes. Who was it that told us that, honey?
That was a show, honey. It was a naked, I forget what show that was. It was the naked show. Every time he jumped to a new timeline, he was butt naked and he had to steal clothes. But I forget what show that was. That was
funny. You're talking about the Terminator. Terminator 1, Terminator 2.
No, that wasn't Terminator. It was a show. It was a weekly show, and I don't remember. That was a while back. I forgot all about that. Yeah, I don't remember. So have you? It was fiction, but I think that they're talking about things that are real, and that we have this capability. It seems like, and a lot of people like yourself and other people say I've been traveling through time, and so. What do you know our government has? What kind of systems? Like Andrew Bishago talks about the chronovisor, and I think somebody in the Vatican had invented the chronovisor. And I've heard a lot of people that are researchers that have been, the government will take them and show them, like the crucifixion of Christ or something, and they'll show them a scene from our history. And so what type technologies do we have? You work
well, the United States has all the time. The United States has all the time travel devices. They have the ancient builder races portal system. They control that. They have their own temporal drive ships, which take advantage of wormholes existing also that are forming. They have transporters. They've had that for a long time. They have all the good stuff. The United States has all the good toys, but you don't go using them. They don't go time traveling around just to change time. They figured that one out early on. That's not a good idea. But they have all those stuff. They have all that stuff. So but they're not using them.
What do they do with them if they don't use them?
Well, you don't use time travel devices for just going back and changing time. Time travel devices are mostly used for transportation, to move around the galaxy very quickly. You want to be able to time travel to get around the galaxy quickly. Otherwise, it would take you too long in time if you traveled in time to go from one end of the galaxy to the other. So if you want to get to one to the other, you got to travel in time. That's what time travel is used for. Really, is traveling around, moving around. Yeah, traveling.
Okay, let me ask you. What happens? Has anybody reported to you when they've time traveled, or that you've heard of, when Solaris goes nova?
No. But planets don't do the things you think they do. But anyway.
Well, we know that the Anunnaki said that actually shot their planet out from Sirius C when it went nova. That's just what the Anunnaki left in records.
Okay. So you're thinking that somebody went back and changed things?
I don't. No, I don't. I'm just asking. Has somebody observed going into the future of our solar system? What happens in our particular solar system 10 billion years from now, or whenever it is that Solaris explodes? No one has talked to me about the future. No one has talked to me about the future. I haven't heard of anybody talking about the future. You guys would know more about that. People would come to you and tell you that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I don't talk to people in the industry, in the disclosure movement like you do. You guys are talking to lots of people. I don't talk to anybody. So no, nobody's coming to me telling me about they're seeing things coming that are going to happen in the future. No one's telling me that. Well, the spirit beings said they were going to put up the barrier, but that was years ago.
Yeah.
Those are the only people that told me they were going to do something in the future, and it happened.
Yeah.
So tell us about the barrier. What did they say?
Spirit beings said in the 80s, they said they were going to put up an outer barrier around our entire solar system that would prevent anybody from going in and out without their permission. And they put it up in 2014, end of December 5th, 2014. They actually put it up. They told me they were going to do it 30 years earlier, and they even said 30 years from now we're going to do this, And I'm like, yeah, okay. Didn't think anything of it really, 30 years, you don't really think of something. Someone says something's going to happen in 30 years, you don't really think too much of it. Even 30 years is a long time. It might seem like a moment, in history, but it's a long time, and you don't think anything of it. You completely forgot that someone told you that there was going to be something that was going to happen 30 years from now. You don't think about it. Plus, especially stuff you can't prove. They're going to put a barrier around our solar system, and how are you going to prove that? Like, who would care if it happened anyway?
So what happened that you're aware that it did happen? How did you aware that it did happen?
I was told before it went up and after. What I was told about a year before it went up, in 2013, I was told it was going to go up again, and I reported that to different people in the Obama administration. And they had gotten indications from other people as well that they were going to put the barrier up. So they weren't that surprised. And I got my original indications in the early 80s, I think 82, 83. But the actual first elements of the spirit beings brought into our solar system were those eighth force spheres they brought in 89. That's when they first started moving elements of their existence into ours. In 1989, we couldn't move them. We couldn't talk. They wouldn't talk to us. We couldn't move them. So that had been going on since '89. The spirit beings coming into our solar system.
So how were you aware of what this was going on? And we're going to be up on the break.
So you asked me if somebody came and talked to me, and not too many people talked to me about the future. That's why it was very memorable, because I had a vision and I was being talked to about the future, and it's very odd. I don't normally get people come up to me telling me what the future is going to be like. It's very strange.
Right.
And so when somebody does that, you kind of remember it. And I did that. I remembered. They said, this is what's going to happen 30 years from now. And I went, okay, that's cool. And I remembered it because it was very odd. Someone to say, we're going to put a barrier around the solar system. That's very odd.
Uh-huh.
But there you go. You got, Corey and a whole bunch of other people telling you about the spirit beings and the barrier and all that. And I've been talking about that since the 80s.
Wow, that's good. Okay,
not to the public, though.
So we're going to be taking a little break here, and when we come back, we're going to go into more. Okay, you're listening to Stargate Cosmos, Team 5.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a fifth-dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
Why am I here?
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered my question.
The Matrix is older than you know. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Lassonde.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday at 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Collision Course is back. Schedule B on Revolution Radio every Saturday night, 6 to 8 p.m. You get outer space. You get honest answers, real researchers, truthful answers, and a place to engage with questions. Take part in the discussion. Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com hosts Collision Course every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Aloha and welcome back to Stargate to the Cosmos with your host Janet Lesson and Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson, our producer Thomas Becker, and our guest is Dan Cooper. And we are talking about portals and wormholes and Stargates, time travel, teleportation, and other SSP secret space program technologies. And before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over to the donation button on revolution.radio and make your donation this week. We definitely need your donations to keep on the air, keep bringing you programs like this, and we really thank you. Those who are supporting us, we're very grateful to you. So before we get back to the show, Want to talk to Thomas Becker and our stats. Where are we in our fundraising?
We need 2450, and we got 1631. That leaves 819, and we have to average about $100 a day to make it. So please donate.
Please donate. Yes, please donate. Sasha, back to you before we bring on Dan. You had a question about this. The what do you call that? Sphere Alliance. Sphere Being Alliance.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's the question. Exactly. We'd like, Dan, for you to tell us what you know from your research and what you heard and scuttlebutt about the Sphere Alliance.
The Sphere Beings,
contact with them. Sphere Beings. Yeah.
I don't know who started talking about that first. I thought I heard about it from Corey, but I had talked about the Sphere Beings Alliance with the Obama administration's Department of Defense. I think Carter then, and Michelle Obama. I communicated with her about the Sphere Beings were saying that they were going to put up a sphere about our solar system, and but I didn't know other people that had been reporting. Other people in the secret space program had reported seeing the sphere since '89. They're actually spheres, giant spheres, and coming into our solar system besides the planets. And then let's see who else was in. I reported. I didn't report to anybody in the 82, 83 incident. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Someone telling me there's going to be a barrier around our solar system. You know, what's your question, Kira?
Oh, I was going to ask you, when you talked to the Obamas, did you get any response?
Yeah. They said, you know, they're aware of it, but they can't discuss it. Not with me. They weren't discussing it with me. They thought it was interesting that I knew about it. How does someone who doesn't have any equipment find out that kind of stuff? You know. But they were aware. They were aware. They were aware of it. They were very aware of it. So, you know, that kind of gives more credence as to, you know, the government knows what's going on. They're just not telling us.
Well, Andrew Bishago has a story that, you know, Obama was in the secret space program. He was in the teleportation and the Mars base and traveling back and forth.
I don't know.
What do you think of that?
I don't know. Most of the people they put in these lower positions, President of the United States, most of the people they put in these lower positions aren't in the program and were never in the program. They're just the lackeys. They don't want them to have any actionable intelligence. They don't want them to have any information, because if they were captured, that information could be retrieved. So most of the people that are running the government don't have any idea what the secret space program is. Very few do. And the few people who do know of the program are highly protected.
So so you said that they were aware. I mean, other people that are not aware of the program would just go, this is a coup. So, but their response wasn't that you're a coup. It was just that, right? So they had awareness of it.
Well, they were aware that it was going up. They just didn't know civilians, that there were any civilians that were finding out about it. That thought that was interesting. They didn't ask me about it. They didn't ask. At the time, I had a CIA handler on me, and they didn't need to put another one on me. You know, I was already being watched pretty closely.
So, what was the reason behind you having a CIA handler?
At the time, they said because I was making too many waves in the government. I was suing government. I was doing lawsuits against government. I was working for attorneys that were doing lawsuits against government. And I was pretty good at it, so they said they came on to me because of that, and I thought that was a dumb reason, but anyway, whatever.
And what is a handler? What do they do?
Somebody that just follows you around, make sure you stay out of trouble. But at least that's what they say. Or they give you instructions, they tell you what to do. Usually in the CIA, they call everybody that helps an agent an asset, someone that gives them information or services that they need to perform their assignment. And most CIA agents work with assets. They don't go around hiring a bunch of people to do their projects for them. They don't have a whole bunch of staff in-house. They hire people out, their assets, to do most of their work for them. And I was both I guess I was kind of like an asset and because they did a lot of work for them during that period. But it was legal research.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing legal research, but they mostly wanted. They told me they wanted me to stop suing the government.
Stop suing the government. And did you obey?
A little bit. I didn't do it so much. I did. I took a few cases here and there. But I think they just wanted me to stay out of the way. Certain lawsuits, I guess. I only did a handful of suits. Just happened to step on the wrong toes. But so I'm used to handlers. I'm used to having a CIA handler, and I had a CIA handler on me at the time.
Did they threaten you with anything?
Sure, they always threaten.
To hurt you.
Yeah, they threaten.
What kind of threats do they give you?
They make all kinds.
They're gonna hurt your kids.
They'll hurt your kids. They'll threaten. They'll hurt you. They threaten. They'll keep you from getting a job. They threaten. They'll put you in the hospital. They threaten all kinds of things all the time. I laugh all the time every time they do that. I remember the first time I handled threatened me. I said, maybe you should go back and talk to your commanding officer before you do that again, and ask him why you're lucky to leave the room next time.
I
don't take the threats the way most people do. I kind of laugh. It's fun. It's a joke for me. Threatening someone who spent their whole life fighting is kind of funny. It's real funny.
Yeah.
Did any of them ever attack you? They try to push you around?
Have people attacked me? Yeah, I've been attacked.
I mean the government guys.
Well, they don't raise their badge and say, "This is us. We're attacking you now." They don't do it like that. They control most of your gang organizations. If they want to bring trouble down on you, they just hire one of the gangs to do it for them.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to John Titor, our friend. Yeah, it wasn't the people that made the order. Yeah,
it isn't a government. It isn't a government officer. You got a government uniform is going to come see you. That's not how they operate. When they want to do bad things to people, they use bad people to do them with.
Don't they just stick the IRS on you or something?
No, not so much. That leaves a big trail. That's kind of actually a bad. That's actually that's. I hear they stick IRS on some people. I've heard them do that in the past. Mm-hmm. I have heard that, but I myself. Right. Yeah, I heard you'll get audited if you mess with the government. We all hear that. Everybody sees that. But it becomes a lot easier now that you have TurboTax. Unless you're really moving a lot of money, if you get in trouble with the IRS, and if you're making around less than $100,000 a year, which is pretty much everybody is making less than $100,000 a year, and you get yourself into trouble with the IRS, it's so easy to get out. It isn't even funny. It's a joke. It's almost a joke.
Oh, that's good to know.
Because they give you first of all, they give you 4 months to turn in a new return to fix it. And so you turn in a new return to fix it. And if you make a mistake, they'll let you fix it again. Oh, it's terrible. And if you owe any taxes, it won't be great. If you owe any taxes at all, remember you're in a real small tax bracket. If you owe any taxes at all, like, a couple grand or something like that, oh, how would you like to pay it back in small $25 increments? Sure, no problem, Mr. Cooper. It ain't those wild. Only people who have money get all excited when the IRS comes to see them. Everybody else hasn't got any money to bleed anymore to give them.
Right, that's true. That's true. Do you have anything you want to tell our listeners? Any direction you want to go before Sasha and I ask you more questions? Anything you want to make sure we get conveyed to the audience today? Do you have any things you want to tell our listeners today, Dan?
Are you talking to me? I thought you were talking to Sasha.
Yes, I'm talking to you. No, I'm talking to you. Do you have anything?
Well, what I see a lot with the secret space program personnel is they don't want to change their ways. They don't want to give up the technology, and I'll learn more as I go along. How it all play out. I'll learn more as I go along, but it's looking to me like they don't really want us to have the technology, and they're going to continue to suppress it. And what they do is they try to get you to, they try to get people to give up Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop us from poisoning the planet to death. You can't stop us from doing anything about it. So don't even try. And it just reminds me of so many movies, so many Nazi movies I've seen about the Nazis telling their people, you can't do anything about it, don't even try. Like, the last thing, that's the last thing you'd want to tell me, don't try. But I just see they make a lot of effort. The Secret Space Program personnel, the ICC, they make a lot of effort. They spend a lot of time trying to do certain things, and if you observe what those things are, you see their strategy. How this is their strategy. This is what they think will succeed in achieving their goals. And they believe that if they convince you all that you're all doomed and there's nothing you can do about it, then you won't do what there is you can do about it to change it. So they think that they're going to continue to propagandize that philosophy, that there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So don't try. They're going to continue to do that because they feel that that's one of their only chances. And the other one is they're going to try to get everybody to kill everybody else, make everybody angry at everybody else, try to foment wars, foment conflicts, constantly fermenting conflicts and wars. And they're going to continue to do that. But those are strategies they've been employing for a very long time. And I'm hoping as I do more of this development in inventing these new technologies, that I'll be able to counter that strategy as well.
Well, why do they want us all dead? What's with that?
They don't want they have a bunch of nice congenial slaves that do exactly what they tell them to do whenever they tell them to do it, and they really don't want this batch. We're not really good slaves. We aren't trained. You're not trained to operate the new technologies, and frankly, we just don't want your kind here anyway. These crazy ass people who they have this technology, they've gone nuts. They think that they're separate and they can do whatever they want. They own this planet now, and we need to leave. We've been what do you call it when you kick somebody out? We've been unlawfully detained. Yeah. Anyway, ejected. Yeah, we're gonna get ejected. So they want this. This is their property. They don't want us here. So they're going to get rid of us all.
So are they a different species? Or are they reptilian? There's all these theories.
Oh, those idiot Americans that made the deals with the Nazis and in that original group that morphed into the ICC. Those are the people that have all the technology, that have all these technologies we're telling you about. Those are the people. They have these technologies, and now they figured, well, we don't need humanity. The people that paid the taxes that bought that technology, that humanity. We don't need those people anymore. Yeah, we don't need those people anymore. We have free energy. We don't need those people anymore.
Right. They have these different.
They want to get rid of you.
Go ahead.
They want to get rid of
us.
And replace you with their nice congenial slaves. On all their colonies.
So do they? The Georgia Guidestone says they want to get us down to like 20,000. They have just a base they need for their slaves. Have you heard about the Georgia Guidestone?
Well, there's an idea that they're going to get rid of everybody and just leave a certain amount left over, the best of the crop. The best of this crop they're going to keep. Well, yeah, that's a given, sure. If you're going to get rid of everybody on the planet except for a handful of people that you think might be useful, it ends up being about 500 million. Yeah, why?
Oh, that's what they boldly put all this stuff out there, like on the Georgia Guidestones, and then it gets all over the internet. And they tell everybody what they're doing, that they're reducing our population, they want to get rid of us, and they create a system of fossil fuels.
That's the ICC basically saying, yeah, you're doomed, you can't do anything about it, don't try. Don't try. That's Goebbels, goes back to Goebbels' propaganda industry, the ministry. Goebbels was the head of the propaganda ministry in the Hitler regime, the Fourth Reich.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that thought that one up. That kind of propaganda scheme.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. You're all going to die anyway, so don't try. We don't do very well.
A bunch of lobsters, a pot that's boiling slowly, and And every time we fire up our cars or our air conditioners or our heaters, we're adding to the poison, the toxins that are killing us all.
Poisoning our own cells. We're operating our own gas chamber. It's a terrible thing. It isn't all. It's not all of our fault. I mean, you can't change it overnight. It's not a very simple thing to change. But that's essentially what they're doing. Is they're getting everybody to gas themselves to death. Getting everybody to gas themselves to death. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Operate your own gas chamber. Here's the valve over here. Turn left.
Sasha, what do you want to say?
You feel so stupid every time you're sticking that stupid thing in your gas tank. You're going, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this.
But
every time I put gas in the gas tank, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. I know what I'm doing. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I wish we could all just take our cars back and drive them back to the dealership and say thanks, but no thanks.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Everybody, one day.
We have to have alternatives. So we have it conceptually. You've got the ideas. You're working on the inventions. We're so close yet so far away. What can we do?
I don't know. Like I said, I got to see how far I'm going to get with these inventions to see. I'm hoping that the manufacturers will manufacture them, but I won't know until I get into the fray, so to speak. First, you have to have something invented. You can't even talk to these guys without having something to show them. A patent.
Right.
Have to have a patent to show them.
And your patent is through, or is it still have more to do before?
No, my patent got filed in December.
Uh-huh.
What was your question?
Oh, is it through the process? I'm not even aware of the.
Right. No. There's no. The process is long, actually. No, it starts the process, then in a year you got to refile another document, and they review that, and then you got to pay fees every 3 years or 5 years, and anyway, the patenting process is a big thing. In the beginning, the easiest process is the very first time you file. That was the easiest part.
Yeah. So that's how they get us. They control us. They just bog down in paperwork.
Oh yeah.
They keep you bogged down in paperwork, and it goes. Time is against us.
As we get more and more people aware of the magnetic energy power generators and motors and systems are out there, then we'll be able to force the legislature to change to bring them out. You can have your own government only uses cars that are operating off of magnetic motors, and but that'll be in time. People have to realize these things are real before they can force their governments to bring them out.
Right. Sash, back to you.
Well, in terms of putting stuff together, Good and Gonzalez and these guys say that the people, the Illuminati that are supposedly going to kill us all off, have been by the sphere beings denied the ability to exit, and they have to die with us. And I just wonder what your take is on that.
No, and Kira, she observed correctly. They have the underground bases. We don't. They have the bases on Mars, and they have the bases on Saturn, and the bases on Ganymede, and they have bases. They have more than 100 colonies and bases in this solar system alone. They have lots of places to go. They're already there on those bases. Most of the personnel in the secret space program are not here on this planet.
So if there's anybody really important, they've already left, and they can leave behind a clone to, just do the.
They're already they're. Most of the people in the program, they're not here. They're gone. They're not even on this planet.
But I thought that the place that was being monitored wasn't just around the planet. I thought it was around this whole quadrant of the galaxy or something.
Yes, but they put us on lockdown, our whole solar system. And I did hear that they were also observing the whole quadrant. You're talking about the 52 closest solar systems.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about. 52 stars, 52 suns, 52 suns with lots of planets around them. in our local cluster, our star clusters. I forgot what that one was called, the local 52 or something like that. That's what you're talking about. They spirit beings have surrounded us. I don't know what they've done with the other. I don't know what they've done with the other group, with the other in the 52 cluster in our local cluster. I don't know what they've done with them, but I know what they've done with us. They put us on permanent lockdown. We're completely surrounded, and we can't get through without their permission, without them allowing us to get through. That was your question.
Yeah, no, it does. And to just follow up on it a little, you said that we were being considered, are very close to actually being on this governing body that can influence decisions like this.
Yeah, well, not the lockdown part. The spirit beings don't have anything to do with the Super Federation, and the spirit beings are two different groups. The spirit beings are the ones that came in and put us on lockdown. The Super Federation is the people that are on lockdown. They're on lockdown with us. The Super Federation is on lockdown with us, and they can't get through. They can't get through the barrier either.
Oh,
see, and
so are they gonna?
They don't want to give up a seat to us. They don't want to give up a seat to us, but the spirit beings have insisted that we get a seat. So the spirit beings are our advocates on the Super Federation. The Super Federation considered us to be their slaves. Humanity.
Right, so they don't want to give us anything.
No, they definitely don't want to give us a seat on their council, not their slaves. You know?
Wow,
it's like every generation.
It's like the American cabinet. The former slaves, changed everything when U.S. Grant took over and made sure that black people had a seat in a say. Everything changed.
Right, and then I think that's what the spirit beings think, that if humanity has a seat on the council, it might be different. And I think the spirit beings are thinking it'll also change for humanity here on the surface. Meaning, my thinking is that the spirit beings, they want the technology to be released, and the level that I'm working on is the level it's going to be released. But I won't know that for certain until I get out there and find out, to see for myself whether they're going to allow that level of technology. And that's what my thinking is. The spirit beings are going to force that change as well. This technology
sounds good.
Yeah. That's what I believe.
It seems like they have to help us if we're going to get anywhere, because this is way beyond us able to do it ourselves. There's just too many factors against us. We don't have all the information. I thought that in the cosmos, once you get to a higher level of civilization, slavery is illegal. But apparently, in this section of the universe or the galaxies or whatever it is,
it's not right.
We have slavery. So, from my understanding, spirit being lines is a higher level. Yeah. And then, what they talked about, the Anunnaki said in their Sumerian text, they said that slaves were illegal, according to the Federation. They alluded to the Federation.
No, it's not true. They said it is illegal to create a slave race, not to have slaves. That's what they said.
Illegal to create a slave. Okay, so I'm corrected. I stand corrected. So anyway, but my understanding is, once you evolve to a higher level species that's, more conscious, and slavery just becomes illegal or, forbidden. So I'm hoping that's what's going on. I interact with a high level species, and this whole stuff seems very primitive to me, slavery and all that stuff that's going on. So in order for us to get free of the slave system.
It doesn't make sense, but it's true, though. Yeah, you would think
that's what's shocking.
You would think more advanced species wouldn't do that, but they do.
Get over it.
Not everybody is pure. They're not all pure.
It's not conscious. It's lower level consciousness. Anyway, so I don't know. I come from a much higher consciousness. We don't do stuff like that. And the futures that they're projecting, well, unless they're slaves, they don't know they're slaves. Right now, apparently all of humanity, we're all slaves. And the people that are rich are just as much slaves as the poor ones, except for the Illuminati, Cabal, whoever they are, they're a certain bloodline. Is that your understanding, that that bloodline is the ones that they think they're in charge, but isn't there somebody even above them, pulling their strings?
Oh, well, the ICC they're people. They're not bloodlines anymore, though. They're people that have the technology are not the people that rule the technology didn't inherit their positions. They didn't inherit their bloodline, means inherited. They didn't inherit their positions.
Okay,
when you say bloodline, you're either talking about two things. You're talking about genetic puritism, where only that particular race is allowed and nothing else. Genetic purism, and that's what you're talking about, bloodlines. Or you're talking about inheritance by passing on the family wealth to the children.
Well, it seems like they're related, that's all. I mean, when you do their genetics, all the presidents are related back to Charlemagne. So that's what I'm talking about, that information. They all appear to be connected.
Right, and that's not what the ICC is. The ICC is not inherited wealth. You can't inherit it, and you cannot inherit a position in the ICC. You can't pass a position down to another person in the ICC position of power. It's a committee of 200 people, and you can't.
So how do you know about this structure? Where did you get this information about the structure? How it's organized, the ICC?
I suppose Randy and Corey and other people I've been paying attention to. And it just makes a lot of sense as to how they would put that structure together. If they start out with the Nazi regime, it just makes sense as to that would be the way it would come about. So I'm just following their
what they said, yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Well, let's go back to your life. You have these pictures of you and two other little boys. Tell us about these black and white photos that are on aquarium radio and these children. What's going on?
Are we in a tunnel and one of them on a train? We're sitting on a train. Yeah. Which one?
You're sitting on a. There's the one with the water fountain, but then the three boys, they're sitting on a boat.
Yeah, those are Japanese boats.
In the tunnel.
Those are
Who are those three boys?
That's a Japanese fishing boat, and that boat was parked near the base. And when we see the boat's kind of an indicator of where you go to get onto the secret base. There's no buildings or anything like that. It's just a dirt parking lot, and you have to work from the dirt parking lot to the base entrance, which is above ground. The whole base is underground, 24 floors starting, and goes way down below there. And that's the underground base in Japan. That one there is on the underground base in Japan, where I was trained to fight.
Were there Japanese officers there too?
No, they were all United States Air Force officers. The only Japanese personnel were Japanese scientists, and they were the ones that ran the genetic engineering program because they were the ones that were working with the Greys. The Greys and the Nazi scientists. The Nazi scientists and the Japanese scientists were the first scientists to work with the Greys. And the Greys were the ones that had the more advanced cloning technology, which is what the United States had genetic engineering and cloning technology. And they were willing to trade that with the United States, and they did. But the first trading of that technology occurred between the Greys and the Nazis and the Japanese. So the first genetic engineers that were trained in genetic engineering to do it this way, the way I was genetically engineered, very advanced, were Nazis and Japanese, not Americans.
That makes so much sense.
When the Americans came into the game, they didn't come into the game until 1952. When they had first signed they signed a ceasefire with the Nazis in 1952, and they didn't sign a full agreement with the Nazis until 1957. So the genetic engineers were not Americans; they were German Germans and Japanese. The ones that were getting trained by the Greys, the human beings that were being trained by the Greys to do genetic engineering were Japanese and German scientists.
Len Kasten has said that the million men that Hitler suddenly showed in his film were part of that genetic engineering program that had been brought up or brought in somehow for the film. Do you have any kind of was Hitler using cloned people?
Hitler was cloning people. Yes, Hitler was the first one to get to trade for the technology with the Greys. He was trading genetic engineering and cloning technology, and they had the highly advanced stuff from the Greys. The Germans did, and so did the Japanese.
So when they clone somebody, do they have to have a human host, or can they put them in an artificial womb?
Yeah, the Greys are the most advanced in cloning, and in cloning, they clone in such a way that the soul doesn't leave the cloned body. Because if there's no soul in a cloned body, then it doesn't act right. So they try to split the soul, and apparently the Greys have been able to pull it off. But you can only do that so many times, and then it loses its humanity, and cloning has all kinds of other problems. But the Greys really got into it and did it for centuries. And they were the ones that were able to clone people so that they didn't lose their soul in the cloned body. You can kill one of the bodies, but half the soul is sort of hovering, and the other half is in the other body. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay, you got two bodies. Okay, you got the original, and you have the clone. You have the original, and you have the cloned body. Now each body has half of the original soul of the two bodies, the original and the cloned. They each both have a half portion of soul. Now the original gets killed somehow or other. Now that half soul doesn't go zooming into the clone. It hovers above it and waits till all the bodies are over. It can't move on. The soul can't move on until all of its groundings to this material world are finished. You can't leave. So if you have a clone, you can't leave until that clone's dead.
What? Wow. Do you have clones? Do you have clones that are still?
No. I was only one clone off of an original. All the super soldiers are done that way. And so I have half a body hovering waiting for me, you know.
Wow.
So you have half a soul waiting for. Can you feel that half a soul?
No, you can't do anything with it. The Greys tried forever to try to recombine it. Couldn't do it. It's like a
but
ghost.
Can you sense it?
Half of your existence is a ghost body, and that's okay, you know. But when you're getting down to a thousandth of a soul, you ain't got much humanity left.
Oh, wow.
That's why you can't do it very often. And for the super soldiers, it was only done once. So it's not considered a big deal. But as you keep cloning over and over again, the whole purpose of cloning is so that you don't lose any of your memories in this lifetime. You remember everything, all the fun, all the good times, and you remember it all. You remember all the education, all your wives and your children, and all that. And then you get a clone of this body. You get a clone of that body, and you didn't lose any. You don't lose any of those memories. Plus, it's still you. You know, you still have half your soul. It's still you. And so that's very exciting, and that's why the Greys and a lot of species go that direction. They go the cloning direction because they can literally live forever. If you're living 1,000 years as it is, and you have 1,000 more lifetimes like that, you're literally living you've made yourselves immortal, and that's how the Greys did it. They literally made themselves immortal by doing that whole cloning thing that they do. But they went a little too far, and they wanted to change their strategy, and so they came to us. Yeah.
Is anybody taking your son, Dan?
No. What do you mean, taping him?
I mean, is he part part of this program that he's doing adult stuff, even though he wakes up in the morning as your kid.
No, they never did anything with him. No, they don't do anything with the extended. There's no extended families. Like, you're genetically engineered, you're in the program, you do your 20, come back, that's it. They don't care anything else about you after that. They took away everything from you. They took away your body that you trained in. They dumbed you down, gave you a clone that, anyways. You don't have.
So your kids got the genes from your mom and dad, and from his mother's parents.
Yeah, you're thinking. When we talk about super soldier, we're talking about a little smarter, a little faster, a little stronger, and if you don't use those abilities, they don't mean anything. You can be a little stronger, a little faster, a little stronger, a little faster, a little smarter than anybody else. But if you don't actually use those abilities, they'll never come out.
Okay, what do you see in your son? Does he have the enhancements?
No, that's something very special. You got to actually do that per person. It isn't passed on down the line.
Okay.
It's not like
that. So your genetics are not changed that they get passed.
No, my son's genetics don't change because of me. No, they have to really get in there and mess around to get it the way they want, just the way they want. It's not where you just put a couple of sperms together, and it's not. That's not the kind of genetic engineering these guys do, Sasha. Their genetic engineering is on the nano level. It's very, very high level genetic engineering. What the Greys taught them.
So how were you created? You have a twin brother. Tell us about that process.
Well, I was in the twin program because they were looking for a lot of psiotic capabilities in their super soldiers, and so they went to the twins. Twins are normally known to have psionic capabilities out of the gate, and so I was in the twin program. And as far as genetics go, exactly how you do genetic engineering, it's not a science I've studied. I just know that Greys are considered the best at it, and they could genetically engineer anything they want. And sectors are supposed to be really, really good at it too. The ones on Mars are supposed to be really good at genetically engineering life.
Weren't you put into your mother's body?
They genetically engineered the sperm, and then they put the sperm into her eggs. They might even do both. They might work with her eggs and the sperm, and then work with both. I don't know. See, I don't know anything about genetic engineering. As far as I'm concerned, my understanding is they mess with both the eggs and the sperm. That's my understanding.
Right, and then they combine those outside the fetus. They probably combine those outside the womb and then put them into the
then they put it back.
Uterus.
Yeah, as soon as they have then they put it back in, right?
Okay, go ahead with your question, honey. Go ahead.
Well, it's not a question, but it's the way children are constructed genetically. They also get something called mitochondrial DNA from the placenta of the mother who's carrying them, and that can get really complicated because the placenta could be artificial. It could be a real woman, but if it's a real woman, she's carrying a whole different line of genes into the baby. It'd be really interesting to have your stuff totally worked up and see what all's in your genetics.
Yeah. I'm sure they selected my mother as well. I'm sure that was not an accident. They selected her too. I'm sure. But anyway.
Is your mother still alive? Are your parents?
No.
Are your parents alive or deceased?
No. My parents are not alive. Anyway, but that's what they were doing back then. But what the point was is that it wasn't the Americans that were doing it, because the Americans they weren't even in the program yet. The Americans didn't even.
Right.
They weren't even in the beginning of the program until the late 50s. They didn't really get into the program until 57. So when I was genetically engineered, I was genetically engineered by a Japanese contingent. A Japanese genetic engineer with a Nazi contingent. They were basically running the Air Force. But anyway. So let's see now. Yeah. The United States didn't really come onto this stuff till late 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
everything you're saying is entirely consistent with a picture that Kasten is pointing about how, first of all, our country was taken over by Nazis from the paperclip exchange, how we were defeated in the Battle of the Weddell Sea, and how the successors to the Nazis have taken over local space and the planet. And everything you're saying seems consistent with that.
Yeah. Now we just want to see it. Now we just want to figure out how to get out and get free from these people. Yeah, and I'm working on that part. I think it's possible. I think I can pull it off. It's just there's a lot of work to do. I'm working on it. A lot of engineering.
Well, there's something about your spirit that I know is the people that I know, the Irish people, the English people, and the American people that can't stand being a slave, that would rather die ultimately than being slaves.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want you to know what's going on, because they don't want you to get. Yeah, they don't want everybody to all rise up all at the same time and complain.
They don't kill themselves. Yeah.
They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know about the reality of free energy or any of this stuff. They don't want you to know it's real, because then you'll want it. You want that technology.
Yeah.
Well, it would be nice if you have slaves to at least give them a better quality of life. I mean, you have to have it so they're starving, they're suffering, they're struggling. If you're going to have slaves, kind of like they consider us pets, well, be nice to your pets. I could never imagine being cruel to my cats, So
right.
They at least be as nice to, us, their slaves, as we are to our dogs and cats, That's what my logic is. Be nice to your slaves. Give them a better life. What's wrong with giving them a longer lifespan and better food?
I think that's one of the reasons people have a tough time believing this stuff, is because they can't believe it, that these aliens would be that mean. Why would they do such a thing? How could it be like that? It can't be true. A lot of people have a tough time wrapping their heads around the reality of being a slave. They just can't.
They obviously know psychology and how to manipulate. They put this whole system in place where we're running around believing in all these religions and believing in these politicians, and they're all just a bunch of slaves that are controlling the other slaves. They're the foremen and the henchmen.
It's interesting what the Anunnaki, particularly the geneticists that formulated us, did when they were taken by Homo erectus, the ancestor of Bigfoot, who is compassionate and telepathic, and they would think, gosh, if only we could be more compassionate. And so that's why we are a hope to these magnificent beings that think they're way better than us, because they're so logical, because we feel in each other. We are capable of this incredible love that we got from Bigfoot and from Jesus and from people like, but it's in our genes too. That's what I think. To be compassionate, that's the way to peace.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, what about the concept of Avatar, the movie, where the soldier can lie in stasis and project their thoughts down into another being and be able to fight?
I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know. I can't.
You don't know?
I can't comment on that one. I haven't seen that one. Or maybe I haven't.
I recommend you watch it. It's a very good, and they're actually doing 3 more movies on it. So basically, the American soldier who was had lost the use of his legs, they put him in a stasis, and they projected his consciousness into the form of another extraterrestrial being, which they were very pretty. They were blue beings, actually. They were very beautiful beings, very tall. And so that was how he was able to be a secret agent. He infiltrated their society through his avatar. And I just wondered if that technology existed that you're aware of. If not, that's okay. But
I'm not aware. No, I'm not aware of that level. No.
Okay.
I am not aware of that level of technology. No.
Okay. Well, it seems that the thrice-born Hermes who was an Anunnaki, came down and sent his consciousness down into a fetus and was born 3 times as Hermes Trismegistus, which I can never pronounce. And so that's written about in the ancient Sumerian texts and stories. So, and then I guess that's where Avatar was kind of taking that concept of sending yourself down to. But what is remote viewing then? What else? Do you know anything about the other technologies? So we have time travel. In time travel, are you always physically going, or are you just looking at the past?
No. You can. Well, time travel, you can go look, but you can also go there. Looking back in time glimpsing, and looking through the looking glass. That's what that's called. Peering through the looking glass. Looking through time is also possible, but then there's no real reason to do that unless you intend to mess with it. That's why usually looking in time is a good indicator your intent is not legal. You're not legally allowed to go back and change time.
Well, what if you just want to, like you're a historian and you just want to, what's really accurate?
The time police, the time administrators, they do that, but nobody does it for recreational reasons. They do that to make sure everything's being in order, the order it's supposed to be normally. The time agents, the time police.
Time police. Well, what is normal? Is there a reality where Hitler wanted Hitler?
Natural timeline. The unchanged.
Yeah, what is it?
The unmessed with timeline. Yeah, the timeline that would have been if nobody had went back and changed it. That's the normal timeline. Yeah. The timeline that.
Well, what happened with the Eldridge and the Philadelphia experiment? Are you aware of any of that?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say it again.
The Philadelphia experiment, the USS Eldridge.
Yeah, the Eldridge. Yeah, that's the Sixth Force. The American scientists were trying to catch up to Tesla and the Germans, and they couldn't do it. And they were trying to figure out how Tesla had gotten a ship to disappear. And so they were recopying some of his work and some of his experiments, and it didn't quite work out exactly the way they thought it was going to. But it did work. Everything that it was supposed to do happened. It levitated the ship. It made the ship phase out, go back in time slightly. If you go back in time slightly, you can't be seen in the current time. So that's what that's what the purpose of that experiment was, to phase the ship out in a fraction of time so it couldn't be seen. And it did that. It actually worked. So that was mostly a large-scale cloaking device that they were experimenting on. And it worked.
But what's interesting about that, in a way, is that Nichols is saying they went back in time 3 times until they got it the way they wanted to, and that was what was really interesting, that you could keep going back and fiddling.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually the time agents stay all over that, and there's only so much fiddling you're allowed to go back and do. They monitor that pretty carefully. Like I said, there are actually time agents, and they do monitor time, and they do tell you what to do. And no, don't do that, or okay, you can go back and do that, or whatever.
How do they enforce it? What do they do?
They have more advanced weapons. They're working for the Super Federation, the 60 group of alien species that have combined all their militaries throughout the galaxy. The Super Federation. That group.
So if you've gone and you mess with time, what do the Men in Black come, or what do they look like?
Yeah. They're like the Men in Black. They show up and they get you to, they stop you from doing something, or you got to go back and fix something you did, or
So how do you fix it? Say you went back and you stopped Kennedy from being assassinated, and it changed the whole timeline. So they'll make you go back in time and
fix that, and fix that fix, yeah.
Wow.
They make you go back and fix it.
Have you ever been part of any of those missions? Or all your missions?
No, I'm not a time agent. I'm not a time agent. I was with Dark Fleet.
Time agents.
No, I'm not a Time Lord. I didn't do any of that. I was a Dark Fleet. I fought with a sword. I did mundane stuff like fight with a sword, you know? Real mundane.
I thought they were lightsabers.
Yes.
Or they are lightsabers?
They are lightsabers, which are swords. They're laser swords. They're swords. That's what I did.
They're swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did Lucas get the idea?
I didn't go around monitoring people messing around in time. I just know of it. And
I wonder if somebody told Lucas about lightsabers. Now, how did he get that information, George Lucas?
I mean, how did he find out that whole scenario? I don't know. There's a lot of very accurate things about Star Wars. So I was told Star Wars was ICC released, meaning they released the information to Lucas or whoever wrote it down, and it was just passed down to him as a fiction novel. Someone passed it on down to him. I don't think he wrote it himself.
We're almost out of time. What would you like to tell our listeners before the music comes on? We have 1 more minute. What would you like to tell her?
I was told Star Wars was not a fiction. You know, that the ICC was using it to poll everybody to see how many people believed in that kind of a future. Did you have a question?
Well, I think people. I just want to tell you we're out of time. We have 1 more minute. What would you like to say to wrap up the show?
Thanks for having me on. And it is interesting. It's a very interesting time for us. It's very interesting to find out these things are real. You know, that we're really in this situation, even if it's a bad situation. You know. All right, that's it.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, listeners.
Bye.
Thank you, Thomas Becker. Aloha, love and blessings.
Thank you. Bye.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.